Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Michigan here, and due to a request that I got, I'm doing a Collars Concepts video on how to break camps. And today we are going to use the classic example of Halluf, however I may go into other maps in other videos. So first, I want to just start off, I have some notes here on the right side that you can kind of follow along with, and I'm going to go over this first, this area up here. So the first thing are the three types of camps. So not only is this a video on how to break them, but you could also get some information on how to set up a camp. So we have three types. We have a hard camp, a breakout camp, and a hybrid. Now sometimes there's slightly other variations, but these are the three main types that you'll see. So hard camp is very recognizable. This is a lot of super slow vehicles. We got mice, E100s, a lot of E3s, maybe some super conquerors, because often super conquerors are not used to push on this map. They like to sit back here. High concentration of vehicles in a small area. We often see that when we see about 10 super conquerors back here. That doesn't really go in with the high hit points, but remember, not all three of these need to be applicable for it to be a hard camp, but just, one or two, just to kind of give you an indication. Now, breakout camp is something that we love to run on this map. Lots of fast vehicles, many vehicles of the same type, heavy grouping in one area, similar to a hard camp, but remember you're using fast vehicles, or the majority of all the fast tanks are unspotted. A breakout camp 90% of the time will be fast vehicles. It is done with slow vehicles, so just keep that in mind when you're observing the enemy lineup. And then we have a hybrid, which is a mix. So this is what breakout is sometimes used here, but a lot of times we use a hybrid, where we're putting E3s in the back, we're leaving a mouse in here. What we're trying to do is use those super heavy vehicles to absorb their push, and then we take our breakout camp style and we're going to use that to extend the map. One thing that you really have to take into account when you're trying to break a camp is going to be these 5 steps right here. First being recognition of the camp. So take a look at their lineup and think about what they would probably do with that lineup. If you're seeing a lot of 277s or, chieftains, it's not going to be a hard camp, and it probably isn't a hybrid. It may be that they're not camping at all, or they're doing a breakout camp. So you have to keep that in mind, and we'll kind of go through as I make a semi-call here based off of a mock lineup that I'm going to give the enemy. And I'll give you a chance sort of to think about the indicators that you might see. So that's the first one. So let's start here. So I'm going to give the enemy a fairly standard lineup. So we're going to have an E3. We're just going to put them all in the cap circle. Let's make it. And this will be a little bit of a longer video. So there's our lineup. So they have, because remember it's advances, so they have a few E3s. They've got 3 of them. They've got 2 super heavies in there. They've got some mice, and they've got some S-conks, and maybe some just generic heavies as well. Maybe there's some chieftains, some IS-7s. This clan may not have everything. So based on that, I'm sure you've already come up with your decision. If I saw this lineup, I would think breakout camp or hard camp. Now, a breakout camp does not mean that they're pushing to your cap circle. That means that they are not intending on staying in their position. So I am now going to speculate as to where these tanks are going to go. So I'm going to move them to the location that I believe they're going. So I'm going to believe that there's going to be probably an E3 back here, maybe 2 E3s in this pocket. I'm guessing that all the heavies are going to be over the top. Remember, this is just speculation. They have an EBR. That doesn't really mean much. They may just be trying to get some early lights. Mice love to sit back in this area. I believe I moved a mouse in the wrong spot. And we're just going to put all the heavies back here. So, we don't actually know that they've deployed this way at this point. This is my guess. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to move these tanks here to defeat that. Now, I don't know. Remember, they might have 3 277s in here. We're just kind of putting it that way so we can change it up. So I'm not necessarily convinced that they're not going this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to the next spot, which is map control. If I think they're camping, I'm going to try and gain as much map control as possible. But what I want to make sure I do is keep contained, which goes right back into the next one. So I'm going to play it safe. And instead, I'm going to move. I took an STB-1 because I figured they might camp. And I'm going to move the STB-1 out this way. What this will do is it'll help keep vision on this low part of the map so that they cannot break out. Remember, keep contained. We do not want them breaking out where we can't see them. Everybody else, for the most part, what we're going to do is we'll move 2 chieftains up top into the mid. That way we can get some good crossfire if they try and push up. We'll put a chieftain maybe on this corner, the JP on the back, and then we're going to toss the rest of the heavies up here. Now note that I brought 2 arty as well. It's a risky maneuver because you suffer a lot in hit points, and bringing 2 arty may turn the enemy's potential hard camp or hybrid into a full breakout where they're just throwing their camp out the window, and now they're not even camping at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up, and we're going to use our EBR to figure out if they're coming up this way. Let's see. Up the 1 line. What this will do is this will immediately take this portion out. Now, they're not coming up here from what we've seen. Again, it's all hypothetical, but they're not coming up here. So, again, we're going to get its map control, and we're going to move everybody in this way. Alright, now we've taken this. This T95 is going to move into there as well. And the JP is going to come up here. So now you can kind of look. Let's sort of draw a line. Initially, if we go green, initially our map control, that. Initially, that was our map control. We did not have much. We had vision, but we didn't have a lot of clean shots. You could honestly argue that we had here, because those chieftains may be able to spot that. We had about half the map. By moving up and taking this area, just securing it, even if there's no enemies there, we were now able to move up even further. Right? So again, what this is doing is this is keeping contained and making sure those enemies are really squeezed. What we're going to do now, we've secured this area. It's easily defendable. At this point, maybe the JP is down here on the corner. And he spotted those mice. So now we know that there's no tanks down in this area. Let's get orange. There's no tanks down in here. So we've pretty much used process elimination, and we've now identified that there's tanks back here. Now we have to figure out how we're going to deal with that issue. So I am going to... Obviously, we need to start pounding this with arty, or anything we can get. Arty's always going to be your friend, and you should never rush in until the last second if you have 2 arty. So what we're going to do is we're going to move these vehicles down to this corner. The JP is going to be able to engage these 2 vehicles here. And again, if we swap to orange here for our second line, now control almost everything except for their cap circle. We've also moved, these chieftains are going to start coming down this way. The STB is going to stay over the top. That STB is going to be able to cover in case they try and break out. We've now eliminated the hybrid for the most. Well, we haven't eliminated anything yet. We've eliminated the fact that they're not camping. So we know they are camping here. At least one of these 3 types. So now we're going to move on to the next part. Obviously, take it slow. We're already there. Now that we're engaged, it's the last step, which we kind of do over and over and over again in a camp, which is compartmentalize. Which part of the map can we defeat first? So what I enjoy doing on this sort of camp is taking out this segment first. I may also decide to simultaneously or start this area first. So let's say we're going to deal with these mice first. This JP cannot deal with it by itself. It's 2 mice. It's not going to happen. So we're going to shift maybe 2 heavies over this way, and they're going to start to hammer those mice. We do not want to push too hard around this corner until these mice are gone. So we're going to assume that maybe we killed one of them. Right? That mouse has backed off, the JP. Maybe we've RD'd the mouse. It's dangerous, but let's say we've dropped RD here. We can kind of simulate that. Now that mice is dead, or that mouse is dead. So I just start using red lines now. Remember, 1 segment at a time. Now we've got that area. What's the next logical area is going to be this gap. There may have been a tank back here. We took it out. So what we're going to do is we're going to send our heavies in. And our heavies are going to go around this corner. They're just going to sweep in and clear out these E3s. Remember, 1 little section. We're not trying to take swaths of land here at the same time. That's going to give us another section. From here, all we need now, those 2 E3s are dead. All we need to do now is jam up this last area. We need to clear this E3 out. And that is not hard to do with 2 already. These 2 chieftains can move up and underneath. And they can clear out that E3 quite easily with the support of the chieftains who have probably moved underneath. JP's on the corner. What we'll do is we'll just get rid of these old lines. We've pretty much pinned him. So that E3 is now dead. Now all we have left is this segment here. And you know what? It's possible we lost a heavy here. We lost one in this area. And maybe at this point, maybe we've lost the EBR on top of that. Our RDs, speaking of which, should be moving around. The closer the RDs can get, the better. So we may have gotten an RD up to maybe Charlie 2 and Golf 1. Now at this point, it's going to be tempting for you to move this STB up, but you have to remember, keep contained. Don't let them break out. So right now, where we're really weak is going to be, oh, that EBR is probably dead. It's going to be this area right here. This is the last chance they have to break out. They could break out, push down, and get back to the cap and kill the RD. So that STB is providing cover fire. So what we're going to do is we're going to start moving these heavies up here. And we're going to start working on that. See, I'm just trying to keep them visible. Alright, these 2 heavies are going to work up. Now the enemies have decided to spring their trap. What they're going to do is they're all going to start pushing over. They're going to leave a few tanks. They're going to go into a hybrid here. They're going to leave a few They're going to send their heavies over. They're going to leave 2 S-conks to fend off everything else, and these groups are going to push. And they're going to send it over the top. That's going to completely wipe out these vehicles. They may take out 2 in the process. They have STB1 over the top. But they're also going to die. So now we're in a tricky situation. Maybe we've killed 1 more. So they've broken out. They now have this area. However, this STB is going to constantly be hammering this group. They cannot sit there. So in the process, we're going to just hold. We're going to keep contained. That's it. We're not going to go rushing in, trying to help our teammates, because all that's going to do is get us killed too. We've got 2 S-conks there. We're going to just sit here and let the STB1 deal with it. We may be able to get a chieftain or a heavy, 2 heavies underneath, or even 1 heavy, we've actually lost a lot more vehicles than normal. But remember, we have 2 already. We're going to let our heavy underneath deal with this. We're going to let the STB1 farm it. If they want to push over at this point, these 2 heavies are going to be able to deal with that from these locations. They're pinned down by these S-Conks, or they're pinned down by the heavy and the JP. So in the process, we're likely going to take out 3 to 4 more vehicles. Remember, these vehicles are going to be pretty banged up down here. So from here, if this STB doesn't have any more shots, we're going to move him down. He'll come up the ramp. Maybe we lose another vehicle in the process here. Bad poking. We're going to clear this out, and now we're just going to start to push in. That STB1 should be able to finish that out. This heavy doesn't need to move, and now everybody can just go in over the top, and we can clear this out. And that should be pretty much it. We might lose 1 more heavy, and that's going to be... I can't even get rid of him. There we go. So we're going to finish here with 4 tanks. Actually 6 here. 6 left. And our 2 arty. Okay, so let's kind of recap here because this video is going on quite a long time. Identify or recognize whether they're going to camp or not. And if you think they're going to camp, which camp is it? From there, map control. Get as much map as possible. And keep contained. These go pretty much hand in hand. Don't let the enemies break out and push you. We saw that. They did, and they were able to push out. However, we had a fallback plan. We had the STB1 on the top up here, and he was able to punish these vehicles. That vehicle may have finished with 3,000-4,000 damage there, cleaning that up. It's top, along with the arty, pretty much unloading on him. The arty may have finished with maybe 1,500 on this guy and 1,800 on him. We then took it slow. We moved down, we took our time, these vehicles rotated low side, and we compartmentalized. We took out the 2 mice first. We didn't do anything simultaneously. Took out the mice first, then we dealt with this. Then we pushed the chieftains up, we took out the E3, and then we dealt with the push. We didn't try to push the S-Conks at the same time. We dealt with the pushover, then we dealt with the 2 remaining S-Conks. When you're on attack, you want to do multiple things at the same time. When it's a normal, when you're playing, offense versus offense. Several actions at the same time are good. In this scenario, you don't want to do that. One thing at a time. I stress that a lot on Himmelsdorf. Let me clear all this. And we're just going to go on that too. Himmelsdorf is a very easy example. And again, I apologize for how long this is going. Please let me know if this is too long of a video. Let's say we're on the other side. Alright, when we're doing this, right, even when we're on attack, we still do a fairly standard, or even defense, we do a pretty solid hybrid here. This is a great example of that. We have 2 super heavies, let's just use green. Remember, these super heavies may include E3s, I'm just not going to make it very nice looking. Right, we run a medium. And then we run a lot of fast. You can see here, we're getting map control, right? Because we have about half the map. About half the map, maybe 45% of it. However, this medium can see all the way down. So in terms of, if you think about the other video where we had the 2 terms where, I can't even remember what I named them now, where you were able to spot, but you weren't able to actively engage that area. We're able to spot, if we use the 2 colors. You can spot all of that area. You can spot that whole area too. And we can spot everything in the south. Coverage versus control. There we go. That's the term. So we have coverage over all of this, but what do we actually have control over? And that would only... This, I would say, arguably, we have control over here. That's a very difficult area to push through. And we have control over this section right here. That's about it. Because we can't effectively, we can't effectively engage this low part. We can get shots and we can slowly damage them, but that's about it. And this is a pretty big indication of a hybrid or a breakout camp. We've concentrated most of our vehicles in this area, and we're ready to push out. We have heavy control over this. The enemy is not going to be able to contest it. So we then love to push all these vehicles, clear this out. Remember, compartmentalizing. We're dealing with this area first. You'll often hear me say, nobody do anything, just let the hill, or let's just win the hill first. And that's the key goal here, because we can't lose hit points with these super heavies or they're going to get weak, and we're not going to be able to keep contained. If you cannot keep contained, now we're going to have to start sending heavies back, and it's going to start to slow down our push. So from here on out, we love to just send it down. Again, compartmentalizing. This sometimes kind of becomes erratic, right? Because we end up with vehicles trying to clear this out. We got vehicles over here. You know, we've got somebody in E3 on the corner and some heavies locked down trying to deal with that. This is a nice crossfire. Sometimes these tanks are getting pushed, and then it's, a lot to do all at once. But in an ideal world, we would just do maybe this corner, then we would do this area, and that way we can use the entirety of our force to dig out a well-defended enemy. So I'm going to hold it at... I'm going to blow this up a little bit. There you go. If you want to screenshot this or anything. Oh, that's not... Here it is. I am going to be putting this in the description. So I apologize for the long video. If it's too long, please let me know. If there's anything else you want for caller concepts, please let me know as well. I hope this helped you as an individual to understand how we do calls, or if you're a caller, or if you're looking to call, maybe some tips and tricks as to how to break a camp. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye.